We'll be fine. All right, Kyle, it's all yours. Take it away, please.
So, in the market right now, obviously it's tough. Everybody's complaining. Inventory's down. Everything's getting a ton of offers on it. We had a property recently had 106 offers on it. So it's not a mystery that there's, you know, a shortage of supply and a surplus of demand right now. It's crazy. HUD homes kind of fill a void right now. There is actually more HUD homes hitting the market today than there was a year ago. Overall, REO is down 56.5% from the first quarter of 2012 to the first quarter of 2013. HUD homes are actually on the rise. And so today we're going to kind of talk about just what HUD homes are, who can buy them, who can sell them, and where you can find them. Ultimately, what a HUD home is a home that had a FHA loan on it and the home was foreclosed on. So let's say B of A or Wells or Chase is the servicer on that loan. Once they foreclose on it, they file the claim with HUD. HUD pays them off on the insurance claim and then takes possession of the property back. And that's how a home becomes a HUD home. So HUD homes and FHA loans go hand in hand. They're kind of one and the same. HUD has a big reason to try to put people into FHA loans when they buy one of these HUD homes, much like Fannie Mae does with their HomePath loan on one of their REO properties. Some of the benefits of buying HUD homes, preference is given to owner occupants. Depending on the property location and condition, they're going to have either a 5-day or a 30-day window for owner occupants only. About 30% of the closings this last quarter were cash buyers. Cash is obviously, it's really tough to beat cash out there right now, especially the investors. There's a ton of the hedge funds, Pintar, Blackstone, a lot of the big hedge funds are coming in buying stuff pretty much at market value with cash because they're holding them. So, you know, they're definitely going to discourage those types of buyers. They will not look at their offers, so that's a nice plus. And 30 days versus like 15 days with Fannie Mae and some of the others is kind of nice. HUD will pay up to 3% of the closing cost. And all the homes have an appraisal done on them up front, and it's an FHA appraisal. So, and they're priced at the FHA appraised value. So one of the cool things is if it appraises for 200, your buyer comes in with an FHA loan and pays 200, the appraisal's already done. They don't have to pay for a new appraisal. So that can save them money, and it can save you the headache later on down the road of the appraisal coming in too low. You already know what the appraisal came in at. The negative is you're stuck with it. So if you offer 250 and it's listed for 200, your buyer's gonna have to understand they're gonna have to come up with 50K cash plus the 3.5%. But the appraisal's done and the buyer doesn't have to pay for it. That's if and only if they're using an FHA loan. If they use VA, conventional, anything else, they're going to get their own new appraisal done. So you're not stuck with it, only on FHA.
Can the listing agent tell you what it appraised at?
The list price is the appraised value.
Oh, okay.
The EMD is super low on HUD homes. If it's under 50,000, which doesn't really exist anymore, the EMD is 500, otherwise it's 1,000. So your buyer's not having to put a ton of cash out there on the HUD homes. You know, right now, it's in a competitive market, we're seeing people put 10, 15% for EMDs, putting crazy EMDs down to get deals. On this, you can't put a higher EMD, it's set automatically at $1,000. So for your FHA buyers that don't necessarily have a lot of cash, it's $1,000 no matter what. They do have a Good Neighbor Next Door program for EMTs, teachers, law enforcement. They can buy homes for half price. They come up very rarely. In San Diego County, we usually see about 2 or 3 a year that come up. They're usually in like deep East County or South Bay, down in like San Ysidro or whatnot. They don't come up often, but when they do, anybody who's law enforcement, EMT, teacher, they can put a bid in on the property for 50% of what it's listed for, and it's basically a lottery. They're going to pull one name out of a hat and they can buy that house for 50% off. It's got to be in the area where they work, so you can't be a firefighter in, you know, Sacramento and buy a house here in San Diego. It's got to be owner occupied and it's got to be in the area where you're actually working.
And how does that come up? I mean, how do we get notified?
When you're on the HUD website, there's buyer type, and you can select investor, owner occupant, or Good Neighbor Next Door. So you would just search for the ones that qualify for Good Neighbor Next Door. There's 2 in the whole state right now, 1 in Long Beach, 1 in Rialto. Wow. So they don't come up often. There's a lot more in LA County for some reason. It has to do with the socioeconomic status of the neighborhood and whatnot. So you're not going to have something on Mount Helix that's going to qualify for it. It's going to be, you know, typically your entry-level neighborhoods that they have them at. Benefits for the FHA buyers. Again, the appraisal's already completed and it's paid for by HUD, so that saves your buyer $500–600. I think the appraisal prices just went up again, especially on condos. HUD will pay for a Section 1 clearance if the buyer's using an FHA loan. I haven't seen them turn one down yet. We had one that was $10,000 and they paid for it. And that doesn't count against the buyer. When HUD's making their decision on which offer to take, they're looking at price minus credits minus commissions, and then whatever's the highest net. That's it, just those two numbers ultimately. So they're not gonna count this Section 1 clearance against the buyer like they would on a normal deal. Even if it is 10 grand, it doesn't matter. If they're FHA, it's just a free bonus that gets thrown in the deal for them. They'll also do the same with lead-based paint clearance. There is a cap of 4 grand on this, but if it's a pre-1978 house, they will get a clean lead-based paint clearance on the house. They'll also, this is something that's unique. Normally if you go into a house that has no flooring and no appliances, you're not doing a regular FHA 203B loan on it. With HUD Homes, if the amount of repairs needed to make it FHA approved are under 5 grand, you can still do a 203B loan on it. Let's say it was 5 grand, that would be a lender holdback, and after escrow closes, the repairs get done by a licensed contractor, and then the lender pays the contractor off. So some of these homes you'll walk in, you say there's no way in hell I could do an FHA loan on it. You actually can if the repairs are under 5 grand. And HUD will do the appraisal again up front, determine what repairs are needed, and set that dollar amount up front. So you'll know up front. You don't have to determine if it's over or under 5 grand. HUD will determine that up front, and you'll know about it. So it's a cool opportunity to get your buyers into homes they normally wouldn't be able to buy, strictly because they're a HUD home. So it's kind of a cool option. Some of the benefits to you guys of selling HUD homes. Back in the past, you used to have a special key from HUD. You had to buy it. It was a pain in the butt. Everything's vacant on Central Lock now. Keep in mind there is no electricity at any of these properties, and there's no running water, so don't show one at 8 p.m. It's going to be dark. And there's no investor bids, again, depending on the property condition, for either 5 or 30 days, so that's great. If you're working with owner occupants, they'll pay up to 3% commission, and I say up to because you can chop your commission if you want to. Again, HUD's going to make their decision, price minus commissions minus credits, and whatever has the highest number is who's going to get that property. So if 2 people offer 200 on the same property, you cut your commission by $1, you're going to get the property over the other person. So maybe you don't cut it $1,000, cut it $1. It can't hurt. Because if the other person took the full 3%, they're not going to get it and you are. So it's just a little tip for you. Always reduce your commission at least $1. Or you could change the price. You know, for us, we'll always come in. If it's 200 grand, we'll do 200,000, $100, something like that, so that you can beat the competition. Because it's literally whatever's the highest dollar. It doesn't matter the financing type or anything. It's whatever's the highest number is who's going to get the property. It's all sealed bids. So another big problem right now, more and more listing agents are double ending deals. You'll write an offer on that deal for 200,000. Magically, it sells for $201,000, and the listing agent double ended it. Crazy coincidence. They beat you by $1,000, they double-ended the deal. With HUD Homes, we do not see the bids in any way, shape, or form. All of them go straight to HUD. After the initial bid period, which we'll go over here in a few, they open the bids up and they tell us which one they selected. We never see how many bids there are, nor what the bids are at. So you get a fair shake on these. You're never going to have any collusion with the listing agent having information that you don't have. So you get a fair shake, which is great, because as a listing agent, when we have a low price deal, we get 100 phone calls. Hey, you can double end it, you know, we'll let you represent us. We get that all the time. On these, it doesn't matter. I have no advantage, nor does anybody have any advantage over you. So that's always a nice thing. And you get a quick response to offers. We'll get into the initial bid periods again in a minute. But there's an initial bid period. They'll open the offers at the end of that period. If they don't accept something, they review the offers on a daily basis. So there's some properties on the site today where if you offer today, you'll have a response tomorrow morning by 10 o'clock, whether or not you got the property. So, you know, for your buyers that are sick of waiting around for short sales or even traditional sales with these sellers that can't make up their mind what the hell they want to do, it's a nice, refreshing thing to get quick responses to your offers. And they're always going to give you a minimum of 45 days up to 60 days to close. Even if you're cash, you're going to have 45 days to close. So you're never going to be forced into a situation where you have like a week or 2 weeks to close. You're going to have plenty of time to get your buyer's deal done. And for those that have worked with HUD Homes from November until March, you were stuck with the worst escrow company on earth, Cimarron Escrow. They're completely cut out. The buyer now gets to select their own escrow company. We have deals that started with Cimarron Escrow in November that are cash that still haven't closed.
Wow.
They're the absolute worst escrow company on earth. If you ever are bored, look up Cimarron Escrow on Yelp, and you'll have a really good time. Have a beer and just read it. It's really entertaining. So in order to offer on HUD Homes, you just go to the HUDHomestore.com. Because your brokerage is registered as a HUD broker, all of you guys are able to sell HUD homes. It's kind of another advantage. If the broker of an office is not registered to sell HUD homes, them nor any of their agents in the office can sell them. So it kind of eliminates a lot of your competition. Anything right now to eliminate competition is a great thing. I would say probably only about 50% of brokerages in San Diego are HUD approved. So right off the bat, you kill 50% of your competition when you're showing HUD homes. So that's a big advantage. Before you bid, you just need to log on. Just go to the register. You'll need your broker's NAID number and just set up your own account. You need to do that before you write a bid. It takes 2 seconds. It's not complicated. Just like setting up an email account. Then you can search for HUD homes, and the key down here under buyer type. So if you have an owner-occupant, just set that to be owner-occupant. And all I usually do is just set the state, the county, and the buyer type to search for stuff. I have a search set up just for California, San Diego County. I have it email me every morning just so I can see what's new. That way you don't have to come on here and look constantly. They're only going to send you 1 email a day. They're not going to bombard you with 100 emails like some websites do. So to get into the opening bid periods and the different types of financing allowed on the HUD homes, there's 2 types. They're either going to be insured, which means you can do FHA 203B on them, or uninsured, which means you cannot. And within each of those 2 types, there's going to be 2 options. So an insured HUD home is one that is good to go as is, needs no repairs. It can go cash, conventional, or FHA. We're kind of leery to tell people to do VA on a HUD home. These are 100% as is. They will not touch a thing. So if you have a VA buyer, you need to have termite clearance. HUD's not going to give a VA buyer termite clearance. They're not going to provide it, nor will they allow them to do any repairs to the house. So if it's a house and it's VA, the only way your buyer's buying it is if that thing has Section 1 clearance up front. HUD will not pay for it, nor allow any repairs to be made. So if you have a VA buyer on a HUD home, get a termite. You have 10 days typically. Get a termite inspection done on it before you even write your offer. And if it comes back clean, write the offer. Otherwise, don't even waste your time. So you've got to make sure that these things have Section 1 clearance as they sit, because they will not be repaired in any way, shape, or form. We've had ACs get stolen, we've had break-ins, we've had all kinds of stuff happen. HUD just resecures the property and says it's as is. Buyer can back